Hello my viewers, welcome back to the channel. By the video title, you know what this video is about. Steelers versus Raiders game preview. This Sunday, the Steelers go out there on prime time again, heading to Vegas to play the Las Vegas Raiders. The last year, the Steelers was able to defeat the Raiders in a primetime game as well on Christmas Eve, I believe. Yeah, Christmas Eve. And that was the day of Franco Harris' jersey retirement, RP, rest his soul. That was a big-time game for us. And, the offense kind of struggled in that game, but they did make a big-time drive that mattered. And George Pickens catching the game-winning touchdown from Kenny Pickett, a beautiful pass, a beautiful throw. As we know, the first two games so far, the offense has been lackluster. Kenny Pickett hasn't looked the same. A lot of inaccurate passes, and a lot of bad timing, and a lot of mishap with the chemistry. Of course, he's playing some top defenses, of course. He's playing the 49ers defense, and he's playing the Cleveland Browns defense, two top five probably defenses in the league. You got the Cowboys defense up there. You got the Jets defense. You got the 49ers defense. You got the Browns defense, the Steelers defense, of course, up there. Who else defense is up there, too, like in that threshold? Patriots defense still good, too. Even though the Patriots offense might look a little like different like that. Of course, not the same magnitude it once was, but the defense is still good. Belichick is on that over there, so the defense is going to be good. Chiefs defense is looking very good too this season. It might be the best defense that Patrick Mahomes has had his entire season, his entire career. But yeah, so he's played some tough defenses, so of course it's going to be a little shaky. But I think Kenny Pickett is able to go out there to get it done, to change some things around. I'm predicting that he score 3 touchdowns this week. 2 passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown. I want to see Kenny Pickett use his legs. That's one thing that he hasn't been doing, and the one thing the play calls haven't been doing. And we haven't seen a lot of play action. We haven't seen a lot of bootlegs. We haven't seen a lot of speed out. We haven't seen none of that stuff that we saw last year. We saw a lot of that, after the bye week when Kenny Pickett started getting into his own, started playing better. We've seen him get on the move. We've seen him use his legs to get first downs, use his legs to get in the end zone. He scored like 4 or 5 rushing touchdowns last season. So we saw him be able to use his legs and play his game, just like Justin Fields. Last season was one of his better years. Of course, the Bears still picked the first pick in the draft, because the Bears got a lot of things to fix. Got the whole offense, and of course the whole defense to fix too as well. But Justin Fields had a lot of bright spots, and people thought that entering the season he was going to be a bright spot as well, because he played his game. He used his legs. This year so far they have Justin Fields dropping back to throw 77 times. And you're not gonna win like that. Just like Kenny Pickett in the first game, they have him throw the ball 47 times. In this last game, he threw the ball 30 times, completed 15 of them, but a lot of those passes was just straight pocket passes like that. You see a few play action passes. One of the play actions that led to the 71-yard touchdown, and another one, he kind of rolled out and threw the ball a nice ball to Calvin Austin and some other throws too as well. But you can't force him to just be in the pocket. Kenny Pickett was never known for just being a pocket passer, just drop back like that. We've seen in college he was able to use his legs, he was able to use mobility, the play action, the bootlegs, and all that stuff. He was able to use that to get out there and make plays, make the throws down the field. He was better on the move. That's why we drafted him, because we saw the playmaking ability when he got the pocket and he scrambled. He can make things happen with his legs. He can make things happen with his arm as well. So while we got him just being stationary target in the pocket, when his pocket passing is not his strong suit. So I feel like the coach just to try to play to Kenny's strong suit like they did last year, the past 7 games too. So I'm trying to fit your scheme into things. It's like Matt Campbell, he was saying that he wanted more mobility from his quarterback when he had Big Ben, and try to force the scheme into the certain guys and stuff. And now you got your guy, and you don't want to use the mobility now anymore. Use the mobility of Kenny Pickett like that. Use his legs, let him get out there and let him create some things when he's out the pocket and using his arm, because that's when he's playing his best. So hopefully the Steelers do that. And plus the Raiders defense is not like ain't the 49ers defense or the Browns defense like that. The Raiders defense gets the run has been, they allow some rushing yards. They like bottom 5 in rushing yards. They 27th ranked in rushing defense, and their passing defense is kind of like close to that too. I think it's like 20th ranked, 19th or 20th ranked as well. So the Steelers should, based off the ranking, of course anything can happen. There's any given Sunday, so anything can happen. But based off the rankings, I think the Steelers should be able to go out there and move the ball. So I think the Steelers will be able to go out there, at least score mid-20s-ish, and be able to move the ball and make some things happen. Of course, if the defense is playing lights out and getting sacks, and getting pressures and stuff and wreaking havoc, of course, it'll help you out a lot in the field position game as well. I don't think the defense is going to have a lot of defensive touchdowns like they did last game, but they do. That'd be great. But I don't think it's going to happen every game. But I think they can be able to go out there and definitely get some sacks. Definitely get 4 sacks this game coming up. 4 or 5 sacks probably. And maybe some forced fumbles too. Because you know, TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith getting there. They usually take the ball with them. But I think some positive things I like about the Raiders, though. As you guys know, I do positives and negatives about both teams. But the Raiders, I think the positive thing I like about them is the receiving core. The receiving core is amazing. They got a lot of playmakers on their team as well. Of course, you look at the running back, Josh Jacobs, Alabama alumni as well, just like Najee Harris. And both of the guys, you know, they've been struggling because the O-line's not the best. And the O-line's been struggling a little bit, but I think both of those guys should get it going. The Steelers' run defense so far this season hasn't been good. They allowed Chris McCaffrey 168 yards. They allowed Ford 108 yards, I think, too, as well. So Josh Jacobs is based on projection is primed to have some type of good big game like that. And most of the Steelers, if you look at the games though, the Steelers' rush defense, you look at it as a whole, is really some big plays because they allowed a 68-yard rushing touchdown from Chris McCaffrey. And he had a 25-yarder as well. They allowed 2 big runs from McCaffrey. And then from forward, they allowed 68-yard 1-2. I think 64-yard 1-2, but he didn't score though. So you take that big run away if they like actually be able to tackle and start break cause they had him wrapped up in the backfield. Then he broke the tackle in reverse field and went there and got that. So they actually were able to tackle Levi Wallace. I was on Levi Wallace's side every time for some. He needs to sit on the bench, but they were able to tackle. And you look at it, kind of like take those plays out. Like they're able to stop the guy. Maybe he only got a 10-yard gain or maybe a 20-yard gain. The rushing defense wouldn't be too bad because he actually watches the whole. But based on the projections so far, if you playing the Steelers, you due for a big run, at least one big run. For some reason, I don't know why that happens, but hopefully that stops this Sunday. But Josh Jacobs is a good player, and the receiving core is amazing. They got a guy in Devontae Adams who's one of the best, if not the best receiver in the NFL. I think Justin Jefferson, in my opinion, is the best now receiver. But, of course, Devontae Adams is still up there, one of the best of his generation, is on his way to get into the Hall of Fame, too, keep this up. And Jacoby Myers is a guy, he's a number 2 receiver right now for the Raiders, but I think he can be a lower end number 1 receiver as well because with the Patriots, he put up some big time numbers too. And I think he was undrafted as well. He was an undrafted player, and he went out there and he showed you that the Patriots should have kept him really last year. They should have kept him, not last year, but they should have kept him this year. They paid Juju the same amount they was going to pay, and he got paid the Raiders. So they should have really just kept him because he already knew the system and everything, and he was playing well with you guys too. But story for a different time. And then Hunter Renfrow is another guy who wasn't number 1 receiver before Devontae Adams got there. He caught 100 balls, and he had 1,000 yards too as well. It was a Pro Bowler with the Raiders a few years ago too, before Adams got there last year. So they got some guys, they got some receivers out there. They can make some plays, and you know I love Jimmy G. I always mention Jimmy Garoppolo on his channel right here because one thing about Jimmy Garoppolo, he might not have the flashy numbers, the flashy stats and stuff. I think he might turn the ball over here and there too, might have some bad games, but Jimmy Garoppolo do win like that. You give him 17 games, he'll find a way to win 10 of them. Find a way to win 10 of them. That's why I picked the Raiders to make the playoffs. You know, early in the season, I said my playoff teams before the stuff started up, I was doing in the off season. You know, of course, I had the Chiefs. I had the Chiefs, Bills, Dolphins. It was Chiefs, Bills, Dolphins, Chiefs, Bills, Dolphins, and who I had? Oh yeah, Bengals. I had the Bengals. I had the Ravens. I had the Steelers and the Raiders. That's my playoff teams. I had the Jets and the Chargers as close runner-ups. I had to wait to see more from the Jets because I didn't know how Aaron Rodgers was going to look because he come off a bad year. But most likely he probably play a little better too. And Chargers, I just can't trust their coach. I can't trust their coach. So ever since they got Staley, I haven't been able to trust their coach and trust the play calling and stuff like that. A lot of he kind of cost them the playoffs a few years ago, and he also like in the playoff game when they blew the lead too. They had a 27-point lead. I know people try to blame the offense and stuff like that, but they got you guys a 27-point lead, and the defense allowed the team to come all the way back. And Staley is specialized in defense. He's specialized in defense. That's why he got brought over there, and he haven't been working out. So my playoff teams was that. So I had the Raiders making the playoffs as well. But I feel like they can win a lot of games like that. And then Jimmy Garoppolo, everywhere he's been, when he's healthy, he always finds a way to win. But just not this Sunday. Don't win this Sunday. Do not win this Sunday. I need my Steelers to win. But that's really the positives I have, and the negatives I mentioned before, the defenses and all that type of stuff. But let's get to the negatives for the Steelers. I already mentioned that too. The offensive line, the offense. The offensive line in pass blocking, they've been all right. They allowed, I think, like 2 sacks, probably 2 sacks or 3 sacks first game. One of them sacks, a few of those sacks was Kenny Pickett. He was trying to hold the ball too long. And last game, I think they only allowed 1 sack. It was maybe 1 or 2 sacks. So in pass blocking, they've been pretty good, but in run blocking, they kind of been out of sync. But I think this game should get it right. But all the things the Steelers got to do to try to win this game, you got to have I don't want to say a combined total of 40 plus carries from Najee and Jaylen Warren. Both of those guys together like that. I want to see a combined total of 40 plus carries with those guys together. We seen what happened when Najee was actually able to make some force. Najee, of course, not a speedster. I felt like he was faster though. His rookie year, he was faster. I felt like, but Najee's not a speedster guy. Like he can still go out there and make some things happen, of course, too. But when you can actually create some space with his power and his shiftiness, he's able to go out there. We've seen those 2 runs he had in the game. He finished with like 48 rushing yards like that. He only rushed the ball for like 10 times. He had 10 rushes like that. But you actually can create some force. If the offensive line can create some force, I know they've been playing some great defense. They've been playing the Browns front, and they've been playing also the 49ers front, which is very hard to run on like that. But if they're able to make some force this game, I think Najee have a big time game this game. And I think Jaylen Warren too should have one as well too, and they should play through their backs. And I also want to see Darnell Washington get some looks. Pat Freiermuth and Darnell Washington get the tight ends some loves. Those guys are some big targets, and you're having those guys in 12 personnel out there, and you can create some play action because when you get the run game going and you had a 12 personnel out there, the 12 personnel is going to be nice because you have play action rolled out. You have maybe Darnell Washington block, and they have Pat Freiermuth run out for a route, or both of those guys run out for a route, and kind of like you play like you go out there in a run package set and look like you're about to run the ball with all these big guys out there, but then you kind of mix it up a little bit and create some mismatches against their teams and stuff as well. So that's one of the perks of running the football when you get actually successful at running the ball. So hopefully the Steelers can do that. But I think the Steelers should be able to go out there and muster up some points. Kenny Pickett got to use his mobility, and they got to just call the right things and just let him go out there and just play his game. Don't keep him in the pocket. He can play in the pocket, of course, throughout the game too. Like of course, you mix and match. You got to throw the ball from the pocket eventually, but let him go out there and use his legs. Let him use his rollouts, some PA rollouts. Let him use some bootlegs. Let him use all that stuff like that, and just make some plays. But my score prediction, I got the Steelers winning 27-17. 27-17. I thought the Steelers can be able to go out there and get this score. I'm predicting that Kenny Pickett will score 3 touchdowns, 2 passing touchdowns, and I'm going to give him a rushing touchdown too. I think he's going to use his legs, have about 30 rushing yards, use his legs, get in the end zone as well. So I'm predicting 27-17. Now let me know in the comment section down below what you guys are predicting. I know some of the Raiders fans, if you're watching this, you got your score probably the reverse version. You probably got the Raiders 27, the Steelers 17, like that, of course. But it should be a good game against some good historic franchises, and may the best team win. I'll see you guys next time on the channel. Peace out.